Tell me when to press play.
Still coming up. Okay. Whenever you're ready.
Press play. Good evening and welcome to the After Hours Show. My name is Joe in Norway. I'll be your butcher this evening. Shit, we're going way off script already. Welcome. This is season 3, episode 31, I believe. Yes. And we're going way off script, violating our kitchen ASMR credo of 100% vegetarian, because I was faced with the dilemma that I need some help working out. Namely, there's hardly any vegetables in the house, all the shops are closed, and my neighbor, who's a hunter, drove by with a deer, roe deer, buck, the 29th in the valley out of, I believe, 39 per year in this valley alone that they're sanctioned to hunt. And in this little community, this farming community, the system is that whoever the hunters are, they do their business, meet their quotas if they can, and there's a list, and whose ever name comes up next, that's their deer, and the hunter gets a quarter of it. It turns out it was our turn.
Cool.
Oh boy. So we've got some work to do, John. We've got.
Oh my.
I figure we are going to. If we're going to do this, we're going to go. This is just a one time, right? First, let's get this prepared for ready here.
I'm closing my eyes,
What?
Joe,
Okay.
which is not good because I'm shaving with a straight razor.
There we go.
Lord.
So
I
I
mean,
might end up looking like your deer.
I mean, deer are, I mean, they're a little different from humans you might be accustomed to dealing with in your sub basement. But I don't know if you can see this very well. This is the forepart or the shoulder of the deer. The backside, we've got some work to do, and I'm extremely unskilled, particularly being a vegetarian for the majority part of my life. And more or less only boning up fish. But we have the shot that came in just around here, so we've got to get rid of some of this meat. And I figured we'll take the most difficult part, the butcher, and see how it goes. The shoulder has about 5 or 6 major different muscle groups. They're all kind of difficult to manage, but there's most of it is long cooking, stew or braising, like the
Mhm.
shanks here. How's the setup here? Oh yeah, you can see the whole thing. There's only 2 pieces that are tender, and that's this one, which I can't remember the name of, and there's this one that runs along this is the shoulder blade, and there's a ridge along the shoulder blade that there's two pieces. Namely, this area here is called the flat. I don't know, I can't remember the technical term, but it's the flat iron, and it should probably be the most expensive cut on the animal, similar to beef or beef, elk, moose, deer. It's as tender as the tenderloin or the filet mignon, and the issue is that it's one piece here divided by a horizontal sinew that runs along the length of it. So it's a very thin. You get 2 steaks out of it, 2 tender steaks called the flat iron, but you have to fillet it like a fish very carefully to get it freed. And yeah, so that's what we're doing today. I've got an issue with hair all over it. So you need a kind of dry cloth or paper towel to get all the hairy bits off. I have a space-aged polymer Kevlar glove to aid in when I'm not cutting my fingers off while I'm working around this thing. We've got the sharpeners, boning knife. We got the fillet knife, or sankatsu, Japanese knife. Hopefully, you need a knife that bends. And I don't know if we'll have time, but this is the vacuum pack. So we'll seal the cuts as we go or at the end. Oh, and I'm working on very little sleep. I went skateboarding at the pump track yesterday, and
Cool.
I can't sleep the day after I do a workout or go to the skate park. I'm going on about 2.5 hours sleep there, and
Yeah.
with sharp knives. I'm not sure where this is going to go. So there's a number of techniques we can do with this, so depending on how tired I am and how skilled. You could just cut this, separate it, and then have a shank, bone-in shank, or we can cut off the 2 muscles on either side. And then there's a roast here that we can we'll take off the bone here. We could leave this whole thing on and just have a shoulder roast. We could just cut it here and here, or we can just strip it off. So the I was thinking we're gonna cut these 2 off, maybe leave these for slow roasting, and then try to do this fancy schmancy flat iron. But that just depends on how much good news you've got to regale us with.
Oh,
I
this has
just
been,
did want. Yeah, go ahead.
been a busy week,
Oh yeah.
needless to say.
Well, I mean, bless our American listener. Uh, uh, they now have 2 extra holidays from dear leader. He blessed them with what is it, Christmas Eve, and now Boxing Day is an official holiday.
An
Even
official
though,
holiday,
even though he railed against there being too many holidays.
right? He's such a
And
dolt.
so, yeah, so this is a big ethical dilemma here. We have no food, we've got fascism coming down the line, and we kind of need to get into practice. for,
Practice. I don't know if we practice for fascism.
well, uh, survival, let's just say.
Well, yeah, we
So,
got three more years at the worst, I
oh,
suppose.
Lord.
On the
So,
other hand, well, we'll see. This is just these are interesting times. Let's put it that
mhm.
way.
So before you get started, I've got two bowls here. I've got one for the trimmings, which we can use to put in the meat grinder, and then the other
Mm.
one just for scraps. How's the setup there? Is that a good angle and the light all right?
Looks good. Looks good.
Yeah.
I mean, all the blood has been taken out, right? It's been
It's
drained,
drained. Yeah.
so it should be relatively uncomplicated or less ghastly. All right. Well, we'll begin. Yeah, busy week. Happy Boxing Day, and not that it's celebrated here, but certainly some folks have. Lane, it's sort of celebrated, or at least wandered into the festivities of Boxing Day where he is. Um, Needless to say, how busy is it? We've now had two releases of Epstein data. It all should have been released on the 19th or whatever, but of course there we're all being sandbagged. And of course we're talking about the victims who have made the appeal. There was a law passed. The law is pretty explicit that everything is supposed to be made available at once. And sandbagging has occurred from the Department of Justice with lots of very pathetic excuses about whether grand jury transcripts were coming or other kinds of things. Needless to say, it's a million pieces of data came in the second bunch, and their hope is that we'll just get tired of we'll eventually get tired and forget about Epstein, etc. Um, that's not going to happen. And needless to say, there are all kinds of interesting things in it if you just sort of look at it at random. You can search. There are searchable elements on the Department of Justice website. Um, there's not a lot of annotation for files, and some PDFs are just a page, the cover sheets for things. And I personally haven't encountered any heavy duty redactions, but it's pretty clear that there's a lot of stuff there, but the meat of it, people have been getting to it. There was the thing that was mentioned in social media, and it's the issue, of course, is or what one of the victims has been upset by, and in fact, I am upset by that they included false or fake information in their trench of data. So you'd get this thing, and it's a letter to Larry Nassar, the criminal who's in jail because he had molested 30, 35, whatever, Michigan State and Olympic gymnasts. So it's just amazing that this thing might even exist, although it appears, and the FBI has claimed, or the Department of Justice has claimed, that it's a fake document. And there are elements about it when you look at it, you think, well, the dates don't work out, the addressing is kind of weird, and so yeah, it looks like it could be a fake document. But to what end? is it just simply a distraction? Because there are a lot of distractions, fake distractions that have been produced. On the other hand, there are these things that have sort of existed beneath the radar that have been talked about by people, mainly because people who are not located in the justice system have shared them, and including, of course, the victims who have, and the estate, the Epstein estate. So there's a lot of data out there already. And so corroboration is sort of being worked through. Needless to say, powerful people were redacted, including Prince Andrew, and it has, they're moderately famous people and some non-famous people who are on the redaction list. It includes, of course, some people who are unindicted co-conspirators, and there are a fair number of them. I mean, Epstein had, aside from Ghislaine Maxwell, he had at least 3 or 4 staff people who would also do this procuring for him. And when you look at the details by, affidavits from victims, etc., it was a pretty extensive operation of procurement. That is, these victims were convinced that this was going to be a career enhancing activity. That is, being associated with Epstein at all. And of course, you can see the overlap when, in the context of Mar-a-Lago, Trump's claim is that he kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. He didn't. Epstein was a member of Mar-a-Lago. Has always, well, his membership has never been revoked. Let's put it that way. And so that's a lie. But that's the sort of front end of Trump's lies. He's lied about that he was never on the plane and he's never been to the island. Well, that's the usual. Trump has a tell. It's likely that he was on the island and that he did ride the plane, because there are manifests of him being on the plane that the pilots filled out. And it's numerous ones. There are 9 specific ones that have been described, so there's a timeline for that. And there's a lot there. And when you actually read the stories, it's pretty awful. What is not contested or not asserted is drug use. So that's probably was drug use, but that's not at the front end. It really is about sex addiction and procurement, and women being convinced that this was a good thing and that they were getting money for it. They were getting a certain amount of money, but I think, with all due respect, not enough from a sort of a compensation point of view. And it's pretty clear that they were coerced and moved around. So a couple of the victims were shuttled around from in various countries. There were locations, Thailand, a bunch of other, New Mexico. There's a lot of other things that are going on here. And of course, the celebrity side of it is going to distract people. That is, Bill Richardson, the former governor of New Mexico, and a major player. He even ran for president in the Democratic Party. He was sort of not part of the operation, but he was certainly, I think, took advantage of it, whatever that means. And I'm sure there's data that supports that. Now, there's a whole bunch that's not there. That is, there should be New Mexico level prosecution. That's not included in this. The feds, are doing their level best, but there's a whole bunch of other things that never got prosecuted properly. The reports to the Palm Beach police are problematic at best, and we've discovered that there were actual, was it a 302 form or whatever? There were actual charges against, complaints leveled, and the FBI did nothing about it in '96 by one of the victims. And so it's there's a million of them. I hate to say, what's 1,700,000 is the total so far. And I would assert that there's more. There's probably a lot more, but um, Department of Justice is not giving them up, or they're not converting them, or they're not allocating resources, or they've been told to, whatever, cover stuff up. Now we don't know that, and we won't know it unless we get it in front of a congressional committee or get it into court. And so there's all this other stuff going on. Um, and the comment has been that essentially Pam Bondi is acting like Trump's Pam Bondi is to Trump as Ghislaine Maxwell was to Epstein. Essentially, Pam Bondi is part of this whole operation to sort of sandbag uh, any revelation, and in effect, she's violating the law. And uh, there's Ro Khanna and Tom Massey are kind of working through whether they're going to, start charging people. There's supposed to be a fine that could be levied for every day of delay of stuff that's supposed to be delivered. So there's that. I mean, I could talk, and unfortunately, endlessly about the very little that I've looked at, but there's a lot of strange stuff in there. There's this side story that does have more corroboration than it did before, and that is that someone was either committed suicide or was murdered. And the issue is whether Trump was there to witness it. And this happened in Michigan. And so there's a whole bunch of stuff there, obviously, in terms of I think this is in Michigan or Oklahoma or something. Anyway, so there's stuff that's related that probably eventually will
Oh,
come out, and I'm hoping that journalists will, get off their duffs and really try to work through some of these issues. So we're going to see more. The little bit that we've seen so far is that everything is pretty sleazy. People were abused, manipulated, coerced. Crime occurred. There's no doubt about it. Crime occurred. I mean, things that
speaking of
are against
foul,
the.
speaking of foul, I just wanted to point out that one of my most nervous parts about this is to not strike this. This is a gland. It could either be a scent
Yes.
gland or
Oh, yeah.
the
Stuff again all over the place.
yeah, yeah. We don't want to contaminate the food, so we got to cut that out. Fortunately, it's part of the where the shot was,
Careful.
so hopefully it didn't contaminate everything. Yeah, we're gonna take all of this off with the gland. Hopefully, not puncture anything. There's also another one around here somewhere, which is uh, not quite the same as even with the vegetables. I tell you, we'll be back to business. We'll be back to normal next week. I promise.
Well, I mean, you have to think of it in
Oh,
different ways. Like if you were working with a big tropical fruit like a durian, that
mm,
has the same problem. It it
true.
it's like a big gland, and it really stinks. Or it doesn't stink so much as it's like moldy cheese, and it's like
Mm.
having blue cheese everywhere, and
Blue,
it actually
blue
makes
cheese and
great
dirty
ice
gym
cream.
socks.
Yeah, it's really an ugly smell, and when it's not in a processed form like an ice cream. Durian ice cream is great. I mean, I like durian ice cream. I like durian candy, but durians themselves, aside from their kind of wacky size and strangeness, are not very pleasant to be around. And as those who have probably listened to us before, uh, in Southeast Asia, durians are banned from public transit and stuff like that. You just it because I'm sure it's gotten loose at various moments
You
and
see
made life
icons
ugly.
of no high explosive, no firearms, and no durian.
No durian. No, really, it's on the same level as firearms and whatever. It's quite interesting. Um, use a durian, go to jail, almost like an accordion. But anyway, so I haven't even gotten away from Friday a week ago. What other things happened? Uh, there's uh, Mike Lee, senator of Utah, is putting forward a law. I think he's actually introduced it. I mean, I have to go hunt it down and see what exactly it looks like. But what he decided to do, in reference to we're shifting to the Caribbean now, is he's decided to propose, and he can't do it. It's legally impossible for him to do it. So this is all just the usual GOP grandstanding, and of course distracting us from Epstein. And that is that privateers could be created. And so private military corporations, companies like Eric Prince's company or the Wagner Group, which is like the, Eric Prince's company. These are military operations, quasi-military operations. And the point of Mike Lee is to say, well, we can, seizing oil tankers could be privatized. And so, which was, a kind of major deal in the 19th century until there was a law in the middle of the 19th century, a Paris Treaty, that sort of that ended this entire practice, which goes back several centuries of piracy. Now, that hasn't ended piracy itself because of Somalia and Malaysia, and there's Indonesia. There's still pirates. There are people who will seize ships, hold them for ransom, hold people for ransom, hold cargoes for ransom. So, and there's a tremendous anti-piracy activity that goes on in the Gulf, the Persian Gulf and the Red Sea. So, what Mike Lee is doing is simply trying to make that, to legalize it for some benefit. I'm not sure what the benefit is. He just likes the idea that a letter of marque could be issued by Trump or Congress to justify the same kind of privateering that went on during the American Revolution. And then you can call it patriotism. What they want to do is call it patriotism. You're being patriotic when you seize somebody else's stuff. So it is anarcho-capitalism, probably at its most extreme, I suppose. It's like it's like a George Miller film. There's the Bullet Farm, and then there's Gas Land or whatever it is. If you're planning for the post-apocalypse, this is one of the reasons why you would do it. So there's that. And there hasn't been an uproar about it. So this is also interesting, and it'll be kind of an issue. Apparently, Trump decided to wander off in his little brain to talk about Melania's underwear drawers. He's at some thing, and this is before Christmas, and he just wandered off and yakking about something, and it didn't make any sense. It still doesn't make any sense when you actually look at the transcript. He was talking
she gets
about
hold of her little panties. She's got to fold them real neat. Joe's got to fold them really. The little
she
panties.
steams them. Apparently, Trump says she steams them. Whatever.
He folds them really neat.
Oh God. It had to do with the reference or the framing of his wandering off and delusional talks about Melania's drawers, is that this was during the FBI search which has obviously gotten suppressed by Eileen Cannon in Florida, Judge Cannon in Florida, the raid that the FBI did on Mar-a-Lago. And if you actually pursue the information, it's pretty clear that there's obstruction of justice, boxes got moved around. There was even discussions among Trump's minions to whether they were going to flood the server room and stuff like that. So there's a lot of crime actually there, but it's not going to get prosecuted. I don't know if they can go back and prosecute it, which should be interesting. I mean, they put it in a venue, obviously in Florida, but I think that a Democratic Department of Justice, if and when that ever happens, could actually pursue it again. So, I don't know. There'd probably be compassionate issues because Trump by then will be 80 something. So anyway, so there was that. But we got to know something about Melania's, sock drawer or her intimates. So anyway, it's been a week. It continues. Trump has lied about he just says stuff. He makes stuff up, and there's very little truth to it. Although during his claim that there was $1.99 gas, there were a handful of gas stations in the entire United States that did have $1.99 gas. I think this is actually a plot to, you can make the claim, but it's like only a handful of gas stations would do this. Everyone else is at the price we have, which ranges anywhere from, $3 to $5 a gallon. Still is. I mean, it moves around a little bit, and it's wintertime, so, it is a little lower on average. Needless to say, the 199 gas isn't really quite available and out there, and making claims about it as though it were ubiquitous is in itself criminal from an Federal Trade Commission point of view. But anyway, so I wrote a bunch of things related to that, trying to make humor out of Melania's drawers and the Gulf of America. And I haven't even talked about Ukraine yet. Ukraine is another problem. Zelensky's coming to Florida this weekend. I hope he does whatever he needs to do. He probably should bring a gold widget of some kind to gift to Trump, and that might smooth over. It's really complicated. There was a 28-point plan which mimics another 28-point plan of a different sort, and now it's down to 20 points. And what the Russians have done is not say boo. They still, they insist that Ukraine doesn't exist, and all they're trying to do is stop NATO. They don't want to have any security guarantees. They want Ukraine to capitulate, and so the latest 20-point version is one with a slightly increased, as opposed to what the Russians were demanding was a very small military, so they could easily be conquered, which is what they didn't do in 2022. So essentially, it's very, as they say, Soviet style negotiating, where they expect you to capitulate, and all they have is time and resources on the one hand. On the other hand, the Ukrainians are out there bombing refineries. They hit an oil tanker in the Caspian Sea. They hit another oil tanker.
There we go.
Near Rostov.
Took a while.
There you
was
go.
Harder than I expected. Goodness, there's no ball joint on this. It's only on the hindquarter pelvis. But yeah, so I had to get this broken off. But generally, we just try to trace around where the tendons go, and
so you cut them really carefully, right?
yeah, trying to be.
I don't envy you. This is the kind of activity where I'd take chunks out of my own skin.
Well, that's why we've got the Kevlar.
Indeed. Speaking of awful things, they blew up another ship. This week we clarified on the Caribbean side that the reality is that the United States has only actually seized one oil tanker with Venezuelan oil in it. They got it up to Galveston, and they've offloaded the oil. So they've stolen $1 million worth of oil from the Venezuelans. I mean, ultimately, there's real problems here. They've actually stolen stuff. And this is why, Mike Lee wants to have a piracy wants to legalize privateering to justify this kind of activity, when in fact it's just not justifiable in the modern sense, in the 21st century sense. So the claim was that 3 oil tankers have been stopped. Well, two have gotten stopped. The one that they've stolen the oil off of, and it's Venezuelan oil in a sanctioned tanker. The second one that they nabbed was a Chinese. It wasn't a Chinese flagship, but it was destined. It was, they had all their papers in order and they had to let them go. But they haven't made a big, we don't have a lot of reporting about this. But the fact is, the second one is, somewhere else, and so it didn't get seized. And the third one, with all due respect, decided to tell the United States to pound sand, and they just kept on. I mean, how are you going to pull it over, right? I mean, this is like, this is like people on scooters trying to stop, semi trucks. So they're still out there. This other tanker, Bella 1, I think is still on the loose, and it's just sailing along. And the Coast Guard is still waiting for enough assets to try to pull over this tanker. And I want people to talk about that more. No one's talking about it, but when you look at the reporting, you go, this is really stupid. And the U.S. is trying to figure out a way where they're not at fault in the sense that all these tankers are getting pulled over technically by the Coast Guard, which are actually still part of this big armada that's sitting out there with, they've moved in C-17s. There were 6 C-17s that went to Puerto Rico that have obviously, logistical stuff, equipment to support a quote unquote invasion. It's not going to be much of an invasion considering the size of the force they have. So I think what they're going to try and do is, they're going to try and do something like Panama, which is so typically Republican. They still want to nab Maduro for being a narco terrorist, and that's not going to fly very much. And polling says that 72% of Americans don't want any kind of intervention in Venezuela. So the polling is not going to go well if Trump decides to try and take a land war in Venezuela. So the Venezuelans are relatively well equipped to resist this. I would assert that the United States will lose a couple of billion-dollar things in any invasion when you look at what's arrayed.
We lose you? Hello, Anne. Co-host is MIA. Oh, Lordy.
Oh, what happened?
Oh, where'd you go?
We're back.
There you
We're
are.
back. We're back. I don't know what the hell happened. Anyway, so we're still here. Hello. Sorry for this the little ranting here, but needless to say, that's what's going on as well.
Well, I've
Oh, Christ.
damn near got one cut ready.
Right, where are we? In terms of yakking.
This-
Oh, I'm almost at the end of my tether here. Ha!
And I've got one sinew of the shank done.
I haven't even got to the good stuff yet.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll move on to the
The
other.
reality is that there
Just follow the bone. Should have been left-handed. Okay, go ahead. That's fine. And are we losing you? She keep popping off.
Hello, I'm here. I don't know what's happening. Something's
Welcome back.
Mischief may be occurring. Anyway, energy prices are high. Jobs are being killed. We're worried about AI. Trump, in his infinite desire to distract us from Epstein, decided that he would propose an entirely new class of ships that won't arrive until after Trump's dead, but they're a Trump class something or other. They're about the size of a destroyer or a cruiser. They're sort of a modified design for a Coast Guard cutter, actually, but it's got all the bells and it has lots of bells and whistles. I mean, it has, drone launchers and the proposal of a rail gun and a laser, and it's it's got all these things that are planned to put on the damn thing. And it's not, and Trump calls it a battleship only because he's an idiot. Because battleship signifies a whole different idea about how you do war. But Trump is too stupid to realize that, or, well, he's doing it, of course, for the bombast. And of course that they're naming it, but he doesn't even understand the naming conventions, because the first ship cannot be called something like Defiant unless you want to call the entire class of ships Defiant. So the first ship that's going to have to occur is going to be called Trump, or be named for the Donald. So there's that. And he, has done a lot of arm waving and other stuff, proposing that that there be 20 to 25 ships. So that's the other thing that's happening there. It's unclear to me what is happening right now. I'm still host, so that's still trying. But for some reason, I've lost certain controls. I don't know what's happened there, but anyway, I will just keep yammering on. Today, I wrote a thing that proposed that Nicki Minaj is actually a stochastic terrorist, because all this whining about Nigeria that she was doing during the TPUSA meeting, which was attended by Vance and Johnson, may have been the impetus to decide to drop 12 Tomahawk missiles. They're not going to give them to Ukraine, so they dropped them on Nigeria. And I guess people got killed. There's no damage assessment that's been released, and it's much more convoluted than this. The claim was that Christians are being killed. Well, people are getting killed, but it's not because they're Christians. It's just because ranchers and farmers, or farmers have issues with ranchers, or herders. It's herders versus farmers in Nigeria, and it really doesn't have that much to do with religion. It has more to do with conflicts. And Trump did this whole thing for the last day or so, that he did it because, all those poor Christians are getting, the numbers the usual Trump thing is to say numbers like we've never seen before, blah, blah, blah. And when you actually look at the numbers, the numbers actually tell you that he's just full of crap, because Nigeria is nearly 50% Christian. So it's not an oppression so much as it's probably certain Christian sects that are being oppressed, which have to do with, missionary fervor and a certain conservative extremist sects, cult within that are there. So, but the front end is that 50%, about 50%, 49% of Nigerians are Christians. So it's not so much that Christians are being oppressed. It's just that some Christians are being perhaps oppressed, but not because they're Christians. So but is it worth sending 12, Tomahawk missiles on top of what is supposedly ISIS, and where in the real targets should be Boko Haram, but it's totally for show. It's just total wag dog stuff that's going on. So that's going on, and it of course distracts us from Epstein, but the reality is, it's still there. And also, Greenland came up again, um, because he decided that he would pick the current governor, who's a Trumpist, of Louisiana to be the new special envoy to Greenland. Now, Trump, being an idiot, um, doesn't realize that if you create a special envoy to a country, they actually have to get a visa from the country. They have to be invited. It's that whole thing about presenting credentials and being a plenipotentiary, coming with a plenipotentiary, and blah 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 blah. But Trump framed it as he was going to send Jeff Landry, the governor of Louisiana, to Greenland, even though he's still the governor of Louisiana, to convince the Greenlanders to join the U.S. That's the way Trump put it. And needless to say, Denmark got really upset because Denmark, does actually do the Greenland's foreign policy and its defense and, environmental stuff. And the Danes are not happy. They've just expressed their irritation. Ambassadors are being recalled. That's happening too. And of course, it's much more complicated than this because Trump is not smart enough to figure out that, well, if you attack something that's being protected by a member of NATO, you might actually, and this is speculative, this wouldn't really happen. But it's Article 5. Somebody's going to bomb the US because we've attacked, we'd have to invade Greenland. Now, of course, there's a U.S. base on Greenland. We've been in Greenland since the World War II and blah, 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 blah.
There's a U.S. thermonuclear weapon somewhere in
Oh,
Greenland.
yes, a lost one. It's still sitting under the ice. They haven't looked for it in years. That's a whole nother story. We could get into that at some moment, but that's also interesting. But anyway, the White House is being typically idiotic about it, and of course, if you recall, Vance went to there and nothing worked out, and it was too cold, and he's trying to, Vance was sort of feathering his nest as he did with TPUSA, for his, he's the heir apparent, which Trump had to sort of cop to because he couldn't really talk about a third term because it's illegal. But he still wants to do that. So there's that. And let's see, what else?
What all does that take from the Supreme Court to just change the rule, or
it's
Congress is involved?
Congress is involved. The Constitution is involved. There's a lot of stuff that you would have to do in order to get it done, because otherwise Trump would have already done it in some ways. But he likes cranking out these executive orders because he wants to pretend that he's in charge. And in fact, he's not really very much in charge. And there's going to be a lot of time spent trying to correct all his idiocy. So there's that. And then we discovered this past week that the Department of Justice didn't learn anything from the last time they tried to redact stuff. And that is that if you create redactions using, I think, Premiere Pro or Acrobat or something, some Adobe software, Adobe Premiere Pro or something, whatever.
Adobe Acrobat is a PDF creator.
Is the but apparently the Department of Justice didn't pay its subscription because of all those Doge idiots running around, and so they had to go to something else. And so it's quite simple to actually you can delete the redactions if you do a print command in something like Adobe Reader or some other thing, and you can just remove all the redactions, which people are doing all over the place, which is pretty funny because, there's this claim about redactions that there weren't redactions, they're not good redactions, they didn't redact the ones they're supposed to redact, and then there's these other things that attempt to, protect Trump,
But
and they're not. So it's just a mess.
it's kind of worse than that. They used software to just essentially, like, they put a black piece of paper over the
Yes.
actual text, so the
Yes.
text actually still existed under this graphical rectangle, and all
Right.
you have to do is Control A or Command A to select all text, copy and paste to another app, and you've got all the text.
Yeah, because a flat, in
Idiots.
PDF, you can flatten all this. It's
Mhm.
designed to do that. They're so damn stupid. But anyway, now I know that if they had actually planned properly, they would have gotten, folks over from NSA or something else to, to deal with this. But of course, they're not very smart. But
We
they
see
are
how their
devious.
signal chats go.
Well, that's that it's really a clown car. So
Mhm.
clown car continues, even though it's incredibly dangerous and people are dropping missiles on things and people are dying in their boats and stuff. So there's that. So I'm going to stop and start talking about the schedule. And I'm sure you don't want to listen to me yammer further on anyway. But the point is, John, do you want to tell us a little bit about Night Gallery? And I'll preface that by saying tonight is the concluding second season episode of Poker Face. So that's happening.
Yes.
John?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, but first, there's a word from the president. Hello, and Professor, and I think you misrepresented my position on the Navy. Um, I think we should build large battleships, um, bigger than the Yamato, and they should be made out of solid gold because gold doesn't rust. And no one ever thought of that before, right? You put metal in the ocean and it rusts. You make it out of gold, doesn't rust. Case closed. Okay, I'm back. Um, Night Gallery.
It's just it.
Uh, yeah, Night Gallery. We have tonight an episode called Last Rites for a Dead Druid. And it stars Bill Bixby, Carol Lindley, and Donna Douglas.
Somebody make him mad.
Wow.
Yes. I think they do make him mad and bad things happen. Um, yeah, it should
The
be
Hulk.
interesting. What's that? You seem to be frozen. Can you hear me?
Bill Bixby was the first Hulk, the television Hulk.
The television Hulk. That's right.
Yes, I can hear you perfectly,
Okay.
John.
Yeah, it looked like you froze for a minute there. So, um, yes. So that's tonight's night gallery.
I don't know if Travis is here to tell us about. I don't think he is to tell us
Oh,
about
I
Poker Face,
Penultimate Poker
but I'm
Face.
sure he'll be here eventually.
no, I didn't he put something in the
So that
Oh no, he won't be here this evening.
no, that
So
was
Susanna, if
last week
she's
was
not
the
too
penultimate,
tired,
I
may
think.
show something.
was
I mean,
that
if you
last
really
week?
care about penultimate things, I think that's what last week was.
Oh, that's,
But it should be good, whatever it is. I
Yeah, so we don't have
I think that was last week. Last week was,
there was some communication with Travis and Susanna. I believe Susanna, if
Yes,
she's
Joe?
awake, may play something this evening in place of Poker Face because Travis can't make it. Can you hear me okay?
There's a latest message. I can't do Poker Face tonight because he's in Denver. So he's in Colorado. So we're not having Poker Face tonight, right?
Nope.
That's what I read.
So, okay. So on Saturday, if Susanna's here, she could tell us about what we're going to watch on Saturday at 7. There is a movie. It is at 7 p.m. on Saturday. I don't see Susanna here, so I don't know if I should read what it is.
It's on my schedule. They posted it to the chat.
Yeah, it is on the schedule. Damn it.
So Travis offered 2 movies.
I'm looking at the actual schedule in Discord and I can't find it.
Travis,
I think they're
wait a
playing
second.
Meet Me in
Here we
St.
go.
Louis.
No, Travis.
They're playing Meet Me in St. Louis.
I can't remember what movie it is. That's all.
Meet Me
It's a
in St.
noir
Louis.
movie, and
might-
I don't think I've seen it.
I don't think Ed can hear us.
No, I don't think
Are
she
we
can.
getting meet me in St. Louis? I don't think we are.
I think she's got a delay or something.
Oh, I can hear you.
All right.
I can hear you.
You're about 10 seconds
Hello?
behind us, Stanley.
I can hear you.
You're
Seems to be a
behind us.
delay.
What?
Oh.
This is brilliant. We'll have fun with this.
Oh, sorry. I don't know why that's happening. I think it has to. Well, anyway. Yes. Sorry.
Looks
This
like
is
I'll be
like,
making bone broth.
Smoking dope or being on drugs or something, and everything is in a
I don't
delay.
even need it.
Anyway, you have enough bone broth to do this.
Yeah. What I didn't show you guys was that this was just the start for the evening.
For
Because
some reason, my connection has gotten screwed, and I don't know
we've
why.
also got the neck.
Oh, God almighty.
Oh, tell me about it. That was the tracheus esophagus.
Oh,
But this, oh Lordy, this is probably some of the most
There we go.
tender meat. If you braise this in the oven for about 6 hours, it's fall off the bone, tender. It's kind of like pulled pork. Oh, but it's not pretty, that's for sure. Remember,
John, do you
I
want to
got my
tell
work.
us?
I got my work cut out for me this week.
Yes, you do. You still got a lot of grinding and other things to do. Oh,
yeah,
God.
I didn't even get to the flat iron here. We're a long way off.
Oh, man. Going to be busy this evening. John, do you want to tell us about Star Trek Next Generation?
sure. Did you just say that Joe was on Grinder? Um,
Oh,
oh yeah, Star Trek on Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern. We have an episode called The Higher Ground. And Dr. Beverly Crusher is taken hostage by freedom fighters slash terrorists. And
tomato.
yes, yeah. Depends on your
Yeah.
perspective, I guess. So there is, I think, a metaphor there.
Indeed. There's a hostage situation. There's apparently, if you do drawings portraiture of people that makes you more humane, I guess. But anyway, that's
right.
that's the
Well, it
moral of
worked
the
for Hitler.
story.
It worked for Hitler. He was a good portrait artist.
Well, he couldn't draw people. That was his
But he
big
not.
problem.
He had to go though. There's loads of his portraits, isn't there?
Oh yes, we have loads of his portraits, but himself as an artist, he couldn't do
I thought
people.
he drew portraits. Oh,
Well, he did
Oh.
some, but they weren't very good, I guess.
well, that's different.
That's why
different.
he didn't get into the Vienna Academy. That's one of the reasons why he didn't get into the Vienna Academy. I think it had probably more to do with bribing officials, but anyway.
Do you think the
Needless to
Academy's to
say.
blame?
Oh yeah, it's the Academy's fault. If they had accepted him, he probably wouldn't be, the crazy person he was.
Yeah, so
I mean,
it's probably isn't best to go back in time and kill baby Hitler, but kill baby whoever decides who gets into the Academy.
it's to kill the admissions committee at
Yes.
the Vienna Academy.
Bastard. Evil bastard. He knew what was coming.
It's their fault.
Could have hedged it off.
Lane, you want to tell us about what's coming on after Star Trek The Next Generation, which is on at 5 on Sunday Eastern Time?
Yes. I'm thinking Squeeze, because I like Squeeze. And their drummer died just before Crimbo, and I didn't get a chance to do any Squeeze stuff. Squeeze are 80s, well, late 70s, early 80s pop white boy soul rock band. They were very good. And the keyboardist is Mr. Jules Holland, who was the BBC anchorman for music.
Indeed.
And so I'll find there's a couple of documentaries about them. There's one from the BBC years ago, which is better than the most recent one, so I'll try and track that down. There's more in depth.
Cool.
And then there's a gig, 1990 Squeeze at Newcastle City Hall. How are the lads?
Standing.
Then I'll show that if I find that documentary anyway. Oh dear, John's here. John, it's a new type of vegetable. Vegetable. It's not a real
faced with an ethical dilemma.
Yeah.
Is that
So
you,
was our-
Joe? Yeah, it is. Is that what I
This is
think?
the one and only time we're doing a non-fiber based.
I'm gonna puke. Seriously, man. I can't watch.
No cooking this time. Our neighbor
His
shot
neighbor
the deer,
forced
and
him
it
to.
is our turn to take care of it. So I've got to clean the deer, and we've just been dismantling the front part. My apologies. We'll have a fresh supply of vegetables at the outpost next week.
We're close to the end anyway, John. On Monday, Nate's going to be reading from Palo Alto, the book on California history. We're looking forward to that. Bruce, do you want to talk about what's happening on Tuesday?
Tuesday we're on hiatus. Nothing on Tuesday.
Oh, that's right. We're on hiatus. That's right.
Yeah.
I think Monday, I guess if Nate's still here, we can talk about Palo Alto on Monday. I think that's at 7 or 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, something.
8 Eastern.
8 Eastern. All
7
right.
o'clock. Okay.
Oh my God, this is backbreaking.
8 Eastern on Monday. So, and it's really an interesting book. It's worth, we've been going through it, and I think it's a really compelling story. Anyway, I think we're at the end.
I managed to get mostly 3 pieces here, the shank and 1 tender piece, which I can't remember the part. We did not get to the flat iron. So it was called flat iron steak, which was the complicated tender one. But I believe I need to do the outro.
Yeah, let's get to it before I think John Hayes, did we lose John Hayes because of this?
Well, I can't even look at the messages or anything because I see that there in the background no matter what I do.
Yucko.
Well, I'll definitely do better next week.
We will do better next week.
Joe, are your daughters vegan still, or were they vegan?
Yeah.
Don't show them this.
Oh, oops.
Oh, I thought those were just weird shaped beets.
I believe that's it. We'll see you all next week.
Bye.
They probably were beaten
Oh.
at some point.
Jeez, okay, what the hell's going on? All off the rails this feed. And